Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today we are going to be talking about my favorite trailing plants. I felt like this would be a good topic today because I have basically an entire wall of hanging plants now. And I got a question a few weeks ago asking if majority of my collection is hanging plants because of this wall. And it turns out that yes, a lot of my plants are hanging plants, so it sort of worked out that way. I didn't really have to buy a lot of plants to fill it out to the point that it is now. Maybe like 4 or 5 extra plants than I would have purchased previously. So honestly, that's not bad, and we have more to do. This summer, I'm gonna be doing some plant shopping for my green wall. But for this video, I wanted to pick out 5 of my favorite plants from this wall, my 5 favorite hanging plants, and tell you a little bit about them, their history, how I got them, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna start off with this one, which was featured in the thumbnail because it is so beautiful. So this is a Syndopsis Pictus. Just the Syndopsis Pictus. There's a lot of different versions of the Syndopsis which has been coming out lately. I've had a Syndopsis Exotica for a really long time. Syndopsis Pictus Exotica for a really long time. It was actually one of my first houseplants I ever had. And I was always looking for a big version of just the Pictus because I think that these leaves are so incredibly beautiful. I just love the way, especially, I like the way that a lot of plants look with terracotta, but like dark foliage with terracotta is something in itself. So look at how gorgeous. We've got like a hanging piece right there. It's just so beautiful. I got this plant when I was plant shopping in Nashville, and I don't remember what it was called, the place that I got it, but it's like outside of Nashville and it's a big nursery and it was amazing. It's actually one of my favorite nurseries I've ever been to, which is annoying that I don't remember the name of it, but anyway, they had a really good selection of Syndopsis just in general. They had the Pictus and they had some beautiful exoticas. And I also got another hanging plant from them. I think I got my Syndopsis Moonlight from them, which is really beautiful. I hadn't been able to find a large one until I went there. They're very, very similar to Pothos as far as their care goes. I mean, the common name is Satin Pothos. For a reason, they're really, really soft and just feel kind of like, I don't know, they feel kind of like skin actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, a little bit more like rubbery and thick. We're gonna put this back here. The next favorite hanging plant right now is this Disharia Ovada, and also known as the watermelon Disharia. It is so cute, so beautiful, and another plant that just looks so nice with the terracotta contrast. Like that lime green also looks good. I think actually the consensus is all plants look good in terracotta. Like I don't know of a single plant that looks bad with it. I just think like the earthy tone of the clay plus the green in the plant, it's just a combination unmatched. So this plant has really beautiful striping details on the leaves. This one is also currently blooming and you can see that bloom right there. It's been blooming for a really long time as well. Like part of this plant I've had for years and it is always in bloom and I have no idea why. I don't know if it was even that happy before, but it was just always blooming, so it might have been a stress bloom. I'm not exactly sure, but I recently got this plant when I was plant shopping in Indianapolis, which I still need to edit that video and put it out. I'm sorry. I swear I will have that video out. It's really beautiful. It's kind of like succulent-esque because it has those like nice thick leaves that hold lots of water so they can go a little bit longer between waterings. If you didn't know, Disharia and Hoya are related as well. It's not like exactly the same, but they are related. So I kind of care for this pretty similarly to how I care for my Hoyas. I'll water it when it looks wrinkly or if these leaves are like really, really easy to bend. That's sort of how I gauge whether or not I need to water my plant. If it is a more like chunky one like this, like a thicker leaf, more succulent-esque leaf, if the leaf feels soft, then it's definitely time to water. And I'm trying so hard to be better about watering before the leaf gets too wrinkly or soft because that stresses out the plant and I really don't want to be stressing my plants out, and I feel like I have made a habit of doing that because I wait too long between waterings. So anyway, this one is so beautiful and I think that it's just gonna look even better as it continues to trail. You could also put this one on a trellis, like a circle trellis or a hoop trellis or something. I think they'd look really beautiful on something like that as well. All right, so now we're gonna talk about this Hoya, which is a Hoya Yeti Eye. And this is one of those Hoyas that has honestly gone under the radar in my plant collection for a long time. I didn't really think about it that much. Like it was one of those plants that I had and I was like, okay, I have it, Anyway, like, I don't know what it was, but when I was in my old apartment, I paid attention to this plant a lot, and it definitely got like a lot of my attention. But when I moved into this house, it wasn't a plant that lived in this specific room. And honestly, I do find that the plants that live in other parts of my house besides this room are a little bit more neglected, because I spend a majority of my time in this room, and when I want to put time into my plants, I'm probably going to notice that plants in this room need the attention before I'm gonna notice that plants in my office or in my kitchen need attention. So anyway, just because of that, it's sort of been a little bit more neglected, which actually that goes really well with my tip that I give all the time, that if you have a needy plant, put it in a place where you go all the time. For a long time, I had a really beautiful, thick windowsill in my kitchen in my old apartment, and I put all of my favorite plants there and all my sort of needy plants there. That way I always knew, like, I was always looking at them. I had a beautiful window that I would look at. Well, it wasn't like a good view by any means. It was like a car park that was underneath, but in any case, I liked looking out the window still because there were some trees. And you know, you're doing the dishes and you're hanging out in your kitchen. I hang out in my kitchen all the time. If I'm not in here, I'm like in the kitchen, like working or, you know, cooking or I don't know, whatever. And so I like to put my needy plants or plants that I really like in places that I go all the time, because I will notice them more often. I'm more likely to touch them, so I'm more likely to see if they're thirsty. So anyway, all that being said, this plant is now in this room because it is a hanging plant, and I hadn't used it as a hanging plant for a long time. It was actually just sitting on one of my tables just like this, which is beautiful in itself just sitting, but it's very, very beautiful on the wall because you get these beautiful like lance-ish shaped leaves against the white of the wall and the wood and the terracotta. When new leaves come in, they're a really nice dark color, and sometimes they'll even have like a really nice dark border with a lighter color on the inside, as you can see with this leaf. It's just a really beautiful and underrated Hoya. I think it's just very unique in its shape and growth. I mean, it's not unique in its like growth pattern or whatever, but I just think that it looks cool. And when this gets really long eventually, I'm gonna be really excited to see, like, I don't know, just what it looks like. They're just so cool. I think that Hoya, when they get really big, are so awesome. And that's why I pretty much never propagate my Hoya, because I want them to be big. And if I'm propagating them, then they're gonna get smaller, you know what I mean? But then you have propagation, so then you have more plants. So there's pros and cons to everything, but definitely at the beginning of my plant journey, I was much more of a big propagator, but now I really like just letting my plants live as they are and see how big that they can get. And I'm really excited to see this one grow. Oh, and also it bloomed like a couple years ago, and the blooms were really cute. They were like round blooms, but when the leaves first open up, it looks like a traditional flower, and then the petals like peel backwards, and then it's like a circle, like a globe thing. It's actually very cool, and I hope that one day it blooms again, because it was really, really cool. I don't remember it smelling like anything, but it did look very pretty. All right, we're gonna break up the Hoya chats and talk about this Ripsalis. This is the Mistletoe Cactus, I think, Ripsalis. It's one of the more common Ripsalis, obviously. You definitely have seen this one before, and if you haven't, well, here you go. Ripsalis meet you, you meet Ripsalis. They're really, really cool because they have these arms that just like splay out. It's kind of like hair. Like, this is a plant that would look really cool in a head pot, I think, because it really does look like hair. And the longer it gets, it just, I don't know, it just looks so cool. This is definitely a smaller one. I purchased this one recently from Helmy's Garden Center in Columbia, Missouri. They were having their annual 50% off everything sale. I think they do that to clear out their inventory to like start anew with the new year, kind of. They do it like at the end of January. You can see that the light green is all new growth and the dark green is the more aged growth, and it's in this terracotta pot, which is like very, very lovely. I don't think that that word exists that I'm trying to make, but it's very wonderfully aged. I love when terracotta get this look. So many of my terracotta take the longest time to get to this point, and actually I think that I thrifted this pot and it already looked like this. So it must have been sitting outside for a long time in somebody's garden, like accumulating all this age. But yeah, I got this from Habitat for Humanity, I think, the pot, and it was like 99 cents, which my Habitat for Humanity always has plant pots, which is really awesome because terracotta pots, while not expensive, it is nice to just like buy something that already exists rather than buying something brand new, because then you can get beautiful aging like this as compared to, you know, a more recently purchased terracotta. This one is getting a little bit of age for sure, but that probably is because the terracotta is like a little bit wet. I did recently water this. Anyway, point is, I really want to put a lot more Ripsalis up on my wall because they're basically like succulents, except better, and they do pretty good in low light, all things considered. I wouldn't consider this a low light situation, but I wouldn't consider it a high light situation. I'd say it's like a medium light, and only the plants like very close to the south window will get direct sun exposure. And I have that spot lined up for my Hoya compacta variegata, the really big one, which I really wanted to put in this video, but I feel like I've talked about it so much and I wanted to showcase like some new stuff and other things that I don't talk about as often. So she's definitely a favorite and like a plant that I'm so proud of, but you know, like I said, I wanted to branch out a little bit. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say about this. I am on the hunt for more Ripsalis, and I have a few friends who are super into Ripsalis, so I'm excited to get their input to see which ones I should try to get. And my local nursery, Vintage Hill, has a really awesome Ripsalis collection and like availability for Ripsalis, so I'm definitely going to be hitting them up next time I'm out to see if there's any cute Ripsalis that I can't live without. That's really cute, you guys. Like, if I wanted this ladder to never move, I would probably put plants on it as like a permanent fixture, but I do use the ladder, so I can't do that. All right, the last plant in this video is my Hoya Lenny. Look at her. There's this TikTok sound that's like, she looks just like a dream. Prettiest girls you've ever seen. Okay, bad singing aside, that is what this plant is to me. Like, this is probably one of my top 5 favorite plants in my collection because look at it. I mean, it speaks for itself. It is so beautiful. And I've had it for quite a few years, so it's had lots of time to get this long. And I'm excited to see new growth pop out. It's been a while since new growth has happened, but hopefully soon I will see something. Also, there's a tiny, tiny white bug crawling around in here. And I don't think it's a bad bug because I don't see any bad bugs on this plant at all. It might just be like a little soil organism. Anyway, isn't it so interesting to think that our soil is just full of life? Like, we think that all of the life is occurring here in the plant, but there is also so much life happening here. And like, a lot of people will message me and tell me that their De La Tank soil has mushrooms growing in it, and they're like, is this good, is this bad? And I'm like, it's good, baby, you're doing the right thing, like everything's gonna be fine. So I just think that's absolutely wild to think that like there could be like a whole situation going in on here. Like, what's the drama, you guys? Like, what's going on in there? Spill the tea. Like, I want to know, like, who's cheating on who? Like, I don't know who's dating who. Anyway, all this to say, this Hoya Lenny is very gorgeous, and I love when these plants bloom. Mine has not bloomed, but the blooms on them look absolutely insane because these spindles, like these like vines, are so delicate. And that is the thing about this plant that is honestly so surprising to me. Like, when I first got it, I remember just like touching it and I was like, that plant is really soft. Did that happen to anybody else when you got a Hoya Lenny? Or like when you saw one at the store? Like, did you touch it and you were like, nobody told me that it was like liquid velvet. It's so pretty. And I think that I love it especially because it looks like hair. I did in my first Hoya collection video show like how it would look if my Hoya was my hair. And I think that we need to revisit that because it's honestly a look. But anyway, I got this from an online plant store a couple years ago as a, like, I don't know, as a congratulations to myself for launching my website a couple years ago. And I still have it. And honestly, I I only recently repotted it too into De La tanks, and so I'm kind of learning now how often I need to be watering it, because I got used to the old soil and like seeing what it looked like when it was thirsty, and it's a little bit harder for me to tell with this specific soil because it is so chunky, but the other soil was probably completely peat moss. So now that it has some new nutrients in it with the soil, I'm hoping that I'll get some new growth this spring, because when the new growth comes out, it just looks like the plant is having like a bad hair day. It's really cute and funny, and it's just the best. All right, my friends, that is going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I love hanging plants. As you can see, I have so many more, so I will be doing more hanging plants show and tell in the future so that I can show you just how this wall progresses and the type of plants that I'm putting on it. I feel like it's really fun to do a mixture of hanging plants and upright plants in something like this to add a little bit of dimension. So yeah, I am excited to see what my plant collection will look like this year and how it will evolve and how I will evolve and how you will evolve, all of these things. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so that you know when I'm uploading videos. I am planning on putting out some bonus videos this month, including this video. This video is a bonus video. It's outside of my regular schedule, but I really wanted to talk about these plants, so I figured why not. So make sure that you have the notification bell on so that you know when new videos go up. It'll just give you a little notification. You know, you can swipe it away or you can click on it and watch the video, but it's just a little reminder for, you know, when I'm hopping in your inbox. All right, you guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.